What's up, everybody? Welcome in on this Sunday night to this Rebel Report. My name is Michael. We always appreciate you being here, although we had a chaotic weekend in college football. I assume there's not going to be very much actual football to be discussed tonight because coaching search season has really gotten underway. It is October 19th, and you already have Florida open, Arkansas open, UCLA open, Virginia Tech open, and more are coming for sure, especially even in the SEC. So there is a lot to talk about tonight, and I'm so glad that you are with me. And don't forget, by the way, to subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Just search Rebel Report and subscribe and leave a rating and a review. And also right here on YouTube, just hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, leave a comment, like all that good stuff. I would really appreciate that. And before we dive in, we're going to tell you about Toyota of Brookhaven. They're off of Exit 40 in Brookhaven, and they'll give you $1,000 off on me. If you buy a new Toyota from Toyota of Brookhaven, $1,000 right off the top before anything else if you just tell them that I sent you. They also have a great used inventory as well. Check out their website, toyotaofbrookhaven.com. They will take care of you like a person, not just like dollar signs, because that's what they do at Toyota of Brookhaven. They will take care of you and treat you like a person. It is worth the trip, even if you don't live in the area. So check them out. Toyota of Brookhaven, Exit 40, or online at toyotaofbrookhaven.com. All right, so the obvious has occurred. It's been, frankly, an inevitability since last season ended, to be honest with you, that Billy Napier would be fired at Florida. It was coming regardless of this weekend's result, even though firing a coach a day after he wins a conference game is, it's funny, if nothing else, especially although half of the radio audience is not going to find humor in that. But that will be something that we'll have to talk about tomorrow, is, that part of the angle. But for right now, the obvious did happen. It is very clear that Florida people want Scott Strickland to pursue Lane Kiffin heavily. There was an article in CBS about how Scott Strickland, for whatever reason, would not have been too keen on Lane Kiffin in the past because apparently he hates winning. That's why he hires bad coaches, because he doesn't like winning. I'm partially kidding, but now there's too many power players at Florida that want them to pursue Lane Kiffin for that not to be a thing anymore. He simply put cannot. He simply cannot ignore him as a candidate anymore. And so you guys knew this was coming. You've been prepared for this. You've had to read about it. You've had to see speculation about it. And now it has begun. The Florida job is open. In that CBS article, they mentioned that it was John Talty, by the way, mentioned that Scott Strickland had already been doing work on Lane Kiffin as a candidate. He called it due diligence, whatever that means. I don't really know if you have to dig too far into that. If you're Scott Strickland anyway, on whether or not you want him to be your coach, how much due diligence do you actually need there? But whatever, it's a thing now. And to me, there's three outcomes coming. I'm not going to make a prediction because I don't know. I don't know what Lane Kiffin's going to do. I don't know what he's thinking. I think anybody speaking in absolutes about this is wrong. Both on the positive for Ole Miss and the negative for Ole Miss side. I think anybody speaking in absolutes in this situation is incorrect. And that's okay. But I think there are three real outcomes here to the Florida opening, the possibility of Florida State opening. And I mean, you want things to get really weird, LSU coming open later. But again, three outcomes. And here's what they are. Number one, he wants the job. And he wants to leave Ole Miss. And this gets messy. And this gets messy quickly. Because in fairness to any coach that wants to go, that has a lot of games left, you can't leave yet. And so you'll give bad press conferences and stuff like that, and nobody will be happy. And like it just gets messy. A divorce like this gets messy, regardless of really how it gets handled. But precedent tells you that it's not going to be handled all that well, and it will be messy and kind of ugly, and history, in a way, will repeat itself. Different circumstances. This is year 6 versus year 1 at Tennessee, but it will be messy if he actually wants to leave Ole Miss. So that's outcome number 1. He wants to leave. It gets messy. Outcome number 2. He does not want to leave, doesn't handle it well. It still kind of gets messy, right? Because, again, you have precedent, and you would hope that regardless of what the decision is, it gets handled better than it did in 2022, because ultimately he decided to stay at Ole Miss. In his own words, he was heavily considering Auburn. There are still people online that do the whole he was never leaving. His words tell you that he was certainly considering going to Auburn. That was a real thing. But it wasn't about weighing the options. That wasn't what made it bad in 2022. It was the sideshow that, frankly, Lane Kiffin created between the Sokolov situation and how he responded to and handled that, and the leaks to Chris Lowe and that kind of stuff, and then taking shots at his own facilities when they were putting tens of millions of dollars into renovations into the facility, like actively inside of a building being renovated, and complained about the renovations happening. It was just, and then the team absolutely collapsed. I mean, fell all over themselves and finished pathetically. I mean, I know by then it was already decided that he was coming back, I guess, but the way that he coached in the Houston Bowl was an embarrassment. I mean, just a total epic collapse, both in public relations and also on the football field. It was a disaster. And if this gets handled that way, it's ugly, right? It's messy, whatever phrase you want to use. And then the third outcome is he nips it in the bud. Reportedly, Keith Carter's been trying to work on a contract. I'll read you a quote from Kiffin here in a minute. And it gets handled much more like adults this time, and he wants to stay, and he ultimately stays, and it doesn't become a distraction. The team plays well. He doesn't troll you guys on social media with alligator pictures and stuff like he did last year, although he's already done a Spurrier thing, which, is childish, but it is what it is. And so that's your third outcome. So either A, he wants to leave, and he does, and it gets messy. B, doesn't handle it well, stays, but it still gets messy, kind of like 2022. Or C, he has learned from what happened in 22, handles it better internally with his team, handles it better publicly with the media, and it all works out for Ole Miss. That's the only 3 ways I see this going is one of those 3. I'll be honest, I don't think, or I would be surprised if presently he doesn't know what he'll ultimately do. I'd be surprised if it's one of those situations like in 22 where it's like, should I stay? Should I go? I don't know. Family steps in to say, no, you shouldn't go. I would be surprised, frankly, if it's like that. I think he has a really good grasp of an understanding of what the decision will be this time around. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I know that I think it's going to be one of those 3 things. And I know that he was asked about it tonight. Shout out to Michael Katz, the great Michael Katz, for pulling these quotes from the media session tonight. And here we go. Here's what they are. Quote, I don't comment on these other jobs or ongoing things in season. That's awesome that he said those things. Sidebar, he was asked about Keith Carter being proactive, trying to get him a new contract. So that's the context of this quote. That's awesome that he said these things, and I don't take that for granted. Extremely appreciative of how everyone's been here, Keith, the chancellor, everybody. So flattered that they would even be discussed halfway through the season, but I don't deal with that. We've got a lot to do, obviously, with another top 15 matchup and back-to-back road games, and you guys have done this for years with me, so I think it speaks to that we are mentioned with these other things a lot, to where our programs come and our players and our coaches and really take these things as a compliment. So they're here again, I guess, and we have to stay focused and worry about this season. Here's the second quote. The context of this one is dealing with distractions when it comes to coaching searches. Quote, we don't really talk about it. I know that's your guys' job to bring it up and all that. We don't really talk about it. Like, if we're around there, you wouldn't know any different of anything. We just stay in the work, stay in the moment, stay in the day. And really, that stuff has nothing to do with what we are doing. I think it's a compliment to the amount of games we've been able to win here. So those are the two quotes tonight. And if you are a first timer with Lane Kiffin and coaching searches, then you might try to read too much into those quotes. I mean, this is multiple years now that he's been linked to other jobs in one way or another, and he is very consistent with that message right there. He's very consistent with that message. That is basically copy and paste from other stuff for years. He's always said stuff along those lines, and so if you're reading into that, good or bad, either way, if you're thinking that, oh, that means he's gone, or oh, that means he's staying, you're doing it wrong. That's a very cookie cutter quote from Lane Kiffin and how he's handled those kind of questions before. Simply put, I think that if he expects to stay at Ole Miss, if he believes he's going to stay at Ole Miss, I think he owes it. And this is kind of a naive line of thinking. I know people would say he doesn't know anybody anything, use all the leverage in the world, all that. He's already got a metric ton of leverage. And if the rumors are true about the contract that he's been presented, he doesn't really need any more leverage anyway. But I do think he owes it to his players, his team, because they are currently still in position to be a playoff team. If things go well, if they play well down the stretch. Now, look, they can come up short. It's happened before to teams. It'll happen again. But this is currently a team that is in position to make the playoff if they just take care of business. He owes it to his team, and I think he owes it to the people that have paid him a handsome amount of money and supported him and his family through all this to handle it better than he did in 2022, because a lot of that stuff, if you think back on it, was quite childish. So even if you don't want to give up your leverage, even if you don't want to talk about it publicly, all of the other stuff that came with it, the trolling your own fan base, all that stuff with reporter, in particular, Sokolov, and I know how you guys feel about him. I like him personally, but, I know that's a name that gets people upset. Regardless, he handled that poorly. All of it. I think he owes it to everybody involved to at least not let it turn into that garbage, even if he will consistently refuse to talk about it publicly. So we'll see. I know there's a ton of comments, and that's really what we're here for, so we'll get to those. After I tell you, the podcast is brought to you in part by Advantage Business Systems. Check them out online at absms.com. Advantage Business Systems has you covered for all of your office technology needs. If you're anywhere in the state of Mississippi, anywhere in this state, and you're in the market for office technology, copiers and printers, mail machines, all the way up to cloud storage and data security, absms.com is the website. Tell them that I sent you, and you'll get a complimentary office technology assessment. Also, the podcast is brought to you by Priority One Bank. They make you their priority every single day with their online banking platform. It's a one-stop shop. All you need is an internet connection, and you can do whatever it is that you need to do with your money, because Priority One Bank makes you their priority. All right, here we go. We're finally at the inevitable, aren't we? Yes, it is here. And earlier than ever, October 19th. And this is what is going to be the discussion as well. Day one and you're already tired. No kidding. Dropping to 8 is fine, about what you expected. Yeah, that's a fine ranking. No problem at all. Everything is still very much in front of this team. Thought Freeze might get the boot, but not yet. Kind of feel like that's coming, because the one thing that he's supposed to be good at is pathetic, and that is their offense. They are an atrocity offensively. So Mike Norvell is going to be fired soon. Yeah, what, for $60 million? What was it reported earlier? It was reported that the total cost to buy Mike Norvell out between him and his staff and make the next hire is $100 million. And so when you guys watch your college football game and you see this, please pass the score act because we love women's sports so much and we need to save them and we can't because there's no money. And just remember the James Franklin, the Mike Norvell. I mean, people are just not even looking at Billy Napier's buyout because it's small now and it's over $20 million. He's going to get paid to not coach Florida. And that's a small buyout compared to the other stuff that we're talking about now. So just roll your eyes when you see those commercials. There's not enough money. We need private equity. Oh my gosh, Congress, please save us. We don't have any money, but also we can spend $100 million to change football coaches. Give me a break. It's a joke. Is Florida going to throw Jimbo Fisher money at Kiffin? Jimbo Fisher money's cheap now. To be honest with you, my friend. Friesen's fired in 7 days after they lose to Arkansas. That probably could do it. John Cohen is the last person that I would want searching for my football coach, though. Sorry. Surprise, surprise, Lane Kiffin is already the national darling to go to Florida. It seems like a one-coach search to start with. Lane has to handle it differently. Sexton is going to want this to drag out for as long as possible. He wants a bidding war. It will tank the season. You can't get players to commit to playing hard if the coach doesn't commit to them. We'll see. We will see. I hate saying that because I'm supposed to have opinions about everything, but we'll see if it tanks the season or not, if the players get distracted or not. There's no way of knowing until it happens, or frankly, until it doesn't happen. I hate that, but that is simply how it is. And yes, of course, Jimmy Sexton is going to want to pull the strings on everything. I mean, what Auburn and LSU could be coming open soon. I wouldn't be surprised if South Carolina is on the chopping block too. I mean, this is a really bad time to have to hire a football coach. So many quality jobs open, or possibly open anyway. So Freeze will be gone by the end of the season. I think you're right. I've already had enough of the Florida coaching search. It hasn't been 12 hours. No kidding. Josh Pate said tonight that Kiffin should be Florida's first and last choice and that it's significantly better job and he should leave. Of course, he's already had this take before. Yeah. I mean, look, Florida it's a very, very, very good job. It's a very good job. I think there are arguments for both sides of why it makes sense for him to leave and why it doesn't make sense for him to leave. And what I mean by that is, like, regardless if I agree or disagree with the position, I think you can make a compelling case for both. But if you are in the stance of there is no reason to stay, it's foolish. And I didn't hear what he had to say. And I know, look, he's in the takes business. You got to have strong opinions and strong takes. But if you think that this is still 2005, if you're stuck in 05 and you think that, well, it's absolutely no-brainer, there's no reason whatsoever to stick around, it makes no sense to stay, then that's a foolish position to have. Do I think that he will settle rumors quick this time? If his quote tonight is any indication, no. But I mean, maybe he gets the contract he wants this week, and that's that. I don't know, but no, tonight's quote kind of leads you to believe that this will drag out some. If job openings become a distraction, it will be because Lane lets it become a distraction. Potential Auburn 2.0. And here's the thing about that, to me, and I know this is naive. I understand that this is naive. I get it, but what I don't want to hear, and Kiffin did not do it tonight. He didn't complain about distractions created, but other coaches do. And if that starts happening here as well, you could very easily put coaching search rumor stuff to bed. You want to know how I know that? Because Indiana did that. And I guess that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, Penn State couldn't come in with something even larger and get Cignetti, but they handled it. And people aren't talking about him anymore because they did it the right way. If you really want that stuff to stop and you want to stay where you are, you can make that happen right? It can be done. But these coaches don't want that to be the case. They like the noise. The noise gets them more money. It gets them larger buyouts and all that. But um, we're about to find out if all of the stuff that was said in that that E60 and all that, if it's legitimate, if it's real, or if it was just um, his version of the "all shucks, Hugh Freeze, I may have a dip every now and then" quote. You know what I mean? Uh, we're about to find out if everything that was said was legitimate or not. But you're exactly right. These coaches control the noise. Their agents work for them. They don't work for their agents. If they wanted this to stop, they'd make it stop. But they don't want it to stop. And so they don't make it stop. Sexton was there Saturday because Florida, I mean, was he though? James Franklin was also in town. He also represents Kirby, but you know, I still can't believe Ole Miss football put that video out there of him walking alongside Kiffin into the stadium. Strickland isn't making this hire. It's the boosters. Yeah, tend to agree there, but he still is the AD. He had the opportunity to settle the rumors today. He refused. This promising season is about to deteriorate into 2022 all over again. Counterpoint, just devil's advocate here. What if he wants to stay, but he doesn't have the contract that he wants from Ole Miss yet? And so if you completely rebuff everything when you're not done getting what you want yet, that's kind of a bad play, isn't it? It's a bad negotiating tactic, right? So that's just the devil's advocate thought. I'd be hard pressed to believe that he couldn't sign something right this second if he wanted to. But should he denounce it now, right out of the gate? My opinion, like I said, is a naive one. But if he knows he's staying, then yes, he should. If he knows that he is, he should. But I'm not in those shoes either. So from what I've read and heard, Ole Miss can go to $12 million on Kiffin. I'll be honest with you. I think that they need to, if it comes down to salary, which I don't know if that's really what it'll ultimately come down to. I don't think head coach salary is going to be the game breaker here, because I don't think Keith Carter and the Ole Miss administration is going to allow that to be the thing that is the deal breaker, right? But I am of the position that you do whatever it takes. I don't think there's a number too high. If it's, hey, Florida's offered me 12 a year, I'll stay for 12.5, then yeah, you do it. I think that what you're seeing, even though he hasn't broken through that ceiling yet. Now, the 12-team playoff has only been around for 1 year. The value that winning football brings to the institution, not just the athletic department, but the institution and the town, cannot be replaced. And if you've got the kind of winning and attention that you've currently got, you cannot let money be the thing that stops you. So if that's what it is, then you do whatever it takes to preserve what you currently have. A lot more negativity than you thought here. Well, it's coaching search season. That's all it is. If he goes to Florida, he won't last 5 years. LSU coming open would really concern you. Have no idea what they'd want or could get. LSU is a top 4 college football job. Yeah, that would be a different conversation. I think it's, frankly, I was a little soft earlier. I think you're completely full of earmuffs if you got kids in the car. Earmuffs. I think you're completely full of shit if you don't contend that there is very valid reasons for why any coach should stay at an Ole Miss or at an Indiana or so on and so forth. If you're not looking at the current landscape of college football and looking at what those two jobs in particular, Missouri's another one, because Eli Drinkwitz is getting thrown around in this stuff too. Look at what Missouri has done and stepped up to the plate in football. Indiana, same thing. Ole Miss, same thing. If you can look at what they've done and still go, whatever, bottom feeders, you can't. No, that you're full of shit is what you are. If you look at it from that perspective, when discussing even Penn State, which is an outstanding job with Kirk Cignetti, or I saw Auburn people talking about Eli Drinkwitz today, just Twitter, and like I could make a super compelling case for why Eli Drinkwitz would be nuts to jump to Auburn. And same thing with what we're discussing here tonight. There's arguments. LSU to me is different than those jobs. I think LSU's kind of in that tier of, man, they've got everything. And Brian Kelly's woefully underachieving there. The resources, everything, the in-state talent, it's got it all. And even like the underachieving at LSU is better than most places, you look at Florida and Auburn, like they suck, right? They've put bad teams out there. Even LSU's bad teams are still good. It's just impossible not to win there. Brian Kelly's still kind of figuring out how not to, but funny how everyone also says Marcus Freeman and Dan Lanning will end up leaving too. Like, why? Well, I don't understand that either. Dan Lanning in particular. It's like, do you guys understand what's in his contract? Do you get his situation there? Sucks because they're currently in the most important part of the season right now. These 2 weeks of Georgia and Oklahoma are vital to the program making the playoff. They are. It's got to be handled differently. They have an opportunity to make the playoff and make program history as long as they just stay focused and just play to their ability. Like, they don't have to do anything special, right? They control their own destiny. They have a very favorable schedule after they get through this week, which is a winnable game. And here's their opportunity to do it. Better manage this better. Don't think he'll go because his son is the starting quarterback for Oxford High. He's in the 10th grade. Well, not quite yet the starter, right? The starter got hurt, but he did lead a comeback the other night, apparently. But, the family factor, I assume, would be a factor again. You guys watched the E60, right? If there was any truth to what was said on that thing, then there you go. Sick of this. Respect for Lanning and Cignetti for shutting it down. And I completely, feel that, the fan base being tired of it. And then, you get the counter of, would you rather have a coach that nobody wants? And, it's not an either-or thing, is it? It's you can be very happy that you have a coach that other people want and also kind of sick of this happening in the middle of a season in which you have an opportunity to make the playoff. So Wisconsin and UNC will come open, but how about South Carolina? It's gone so bad for Beamer. Yeah, and you saw the cracks in that foundation in his press conference after the game. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. Yeah, Wisconsin in particular is interesting. Pat Fitzgerald to Wisconsin, I think he'd win there. I think Dan Mullen would win at Wisconsin, and he'd bring that brand back as well. I have no idea what North Carolina would do. That should be a very high-level job. Not necessarily pleased with the comments tonight from Kiffin. Yeah, the thing is, though, if you go back to the other years, it's cookie cutter, copy and paste. It's the same. So if anything, at least it's not different. If you're looking for positive spin on that. Where does this week and next month rank on importance in the Kiffin era? At the very top. The absolute very top. Seriously, Michael Borky? Yeah, seriously, that is my name. And you are too afraid to use your own name online. So if mine's goofy to you, that's okay. At least I am, quote unquote, man enough to actually use it. But glad you're here. Is Jeff Lebby the coach at Mississippi State in 2027? No. No. Hit the like button? Yeah, while you're here, do it. The problem is the noise is starting now. Yeah, and I don't know how you can insulate your program from it. I mean, these are not only are these, almost 100 young people that are perpetually online, but also you have the portal era and the tampering era. If I am a coach at a school with some stability and there's a player on the Ole Miss roster that I want, you think that I'm not letting him know that, oh, man, did you see what your coach said tonight, man? He's gone. He's gone. You want to come someplace that's stable? Come here to Texas A&M. Mike Elko's not going anywhere. You come play for us. You think that's not happening? So this idea that, oh, nobody within the building talks about it. No, nobody here talks about not tampering. Nobody talks about coaching search. We are all just focused on what we have to do here, and you wouldn't even know if the media didn't bring it up. I have a hard time believing that. These are perpetually online young men who are also pestered in the tampering portal. They know about it. Over the last day, you become concerned that 10-2 won't be enough either. I think they have to win on Saturday. I still think so. I mean, there's just so many losses that have to happen. A lot of these teams play each other and so on and so forth. So things have gotten so out of hand since it was 35-26 on Saturday. Just get that stop on 4th and 1. You fully believe he's staying, but he cannot do the 2022 song and dance again. Florida has run off every coach they've had since Spurrier. No one has gotten to year 5 in over a decade. Let's see. Got a softball in the rankings. Number 8's pretty darn good. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're in fine shape. They are in fine shape. They've got to play well Saturday, though. Can they block all this and play well? We'll find out. Thought these trigger pulling on huge buyouts other than Jimbo would be few and far between, but nope, more coming. Yeah, especially in the revenue sharing era where $20 million just poof, gone. Just gone. And still they're able to come up with $100 million to change coaches in Tallahassee if that happens. Crazy that Mississippi State has had 3 coaches fired for beating them in 5 years. That is a wild stat. I have not heard their reaction yet to the Florida loss. Catastrophic. It very well could be, though. I mean, you have a Florida was awful yesterday, and they found a way to win because you gave them Mississippi State handed Florida that game, just handed it to them. And he's 0-11 now in the SEC. More difficult games upcoming. What are you clinging to from a hope perspective? What are you hanging on to? Don't know that answer. Where do you think John Summerall's coaching next year? Ooh, good question. Good question. Kentucky? Do they get sick of it and pull the trigger too? Arkansas or Kentucky? Amazing how hard Florida State has cratered under Norvell. Like, absolutely pathetic. No kidding. You think Kiffin would have left a few years ago? Almost did, but he did not. But he has settled in life now. Lane Kiffin isn't leaving. Another comment says, but I wish he would go with a direct answer so we can move on and focus on the game. Still in the playoff hunt. Okay. Rumor has it, then SEC conference champion faced Miami 2 times in one season, bringing the win streak to a total of 23 games straight. And Ron Zook got the boot because it happened on his watch. If I'm Auburn, I'm going after Franklin. That'd be oh, man. He would be counter, though, to all the stuff that they tell themselves. Be a heck of a hire, though. I think if I'm who would, because he does underachieve in big games, right? I know he won 2 playoff games last year, but his record against top 10 teams is abysmal. Now, a lot of that is can be chalked up to not having the same kind of talent level, right? 3 years at Vanderbilt hurts that. Now, he went to a bowl game every year, won 9 games in back-to-back seasons. But he is really bad against those ranked teams. So what kind of school needs to just have that level of stability that doesn't have championship aspirations? Because if I have legitimate championship aspirations, I don't know if that's the direction that I go. Maybe a Virginia Tech, North Carolina, ready for hoops. Ole Miss crushed Houston. You read? Yeah, Trilly Donovan put that out there. And, I mean, if he's right, which he tends to be, there's a lot to like about what the basketball team can be. Kiffin likes the drama. Oh, absolutely. Franklin's better than most, but his record versus good teams with Penn State talent is horrible. No reason for Keith to not make it happen this week. Get it done. 2022 was a wasted season. Last year was wasted just for on-field reasons. Can't keep wasting seasons with him. I would be willing to bet. I haven't talked to him about this personally, although I will try this week. I promise you they want this done if they can get it done. And they will do what they can. Franklin would go to either Florida, Arkansas, or Auburn. One of those schools will hire him. Arkansas would be good to have somebody like him. Just stabilize the program. Start winning games again. Be relevant again. Do I think Ole Miss leaking? They put a contract together is to put pressure on Kiffin or to help quiet the noise early? Both. Is both a cop-out answer? Yes, but both. Think Kiffin will stay. He was job security without the dysfunction other schools have. If he leaves, his career will be short in Florida. Yeah, I mean, Ole Miss has really done everything they possibly can to give him everything that he needs. It's the staff is his assistant pool is insane. He's got the highest paid assistant in the SEC, one of the highest paid offensive coordinators in the SEC as well. That you've got the personal stuff. I mean, there's a lot of good, basically exclusively good that they've given to him, and we'll see what he does with it. Ole Miss should offer Lane 20. Now let's not be crazy here. Cignetti was not leaving Indiana. I don't think Penn State made a run at him. If Penn State didn't make a run at him, they're absolutely insane if they didn't. But I mean, I love that Cignetti's staying at Indiana. I just this modern version of college football is goofy with these buyouts and the portal's annoying and all that. But the fact that a program like Indiana can do what they did, and I saw that there was some criticism from jokers like Feinbaum of this is what gets schools in trouble. Okay, so Indiana identifies a great coach. They hire him, he starts winning, and if they didn't give him a contract like that, your take would have been, well, he's got to get out of Indiana right away. They can't pay like others. And so then Indiana decides to pay like a big time program, and you criticize them for paying like a big time program. It's like they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. But I'm happy for Indiana. I think that these programs like that are rising to the occasion in this era are making people in my business uncomfortable with their ability to compete because people can't recalibrate their thinking as the landscape changes. If he leaves, it will confirm all the opinions of him that he's been trying to change. It's all up to him. If he left for a few more $1 million, you think it would be probably one of the biggest mistakes, unrealistic expectations with micromanaging AD and boosters constantly watching. Yeah. Does Ole Miss have as much money as Indiana to pay the head coach? Absolutely. Absolutely. They can. Yes. Chris Beard's making 7 now. Yeah. Florida would take years to rebuild before they go in the playoff. Kiffin wants playoffs. Ole Miss is the best chance for it. I kind of disagree there, though, in this era, but yeah. Money's not an issue for Ole Miss. Not in this case, no. After 6 years, Kiffin will go wherever he wants. I hope it's Florida. Well, appreciate you being here. People need to realize that this is what he's done every year. This is how he handles contract negotiations. Him not commenting literally means nothing. Yeah, said that earlier. This is just what he does. It's cookie cutter response from him. So you can't read negatively into it or positively into it. You can't read into it at all. I'm not concerned about the quote, the day the Florida job comes open. What I'm concerned about is all of the other stuff that happened in 22 and not allowing that to happen here. To be honest with you guys, I don't, to me, I don't really care what happens after the season. I don't really care. And you can apply that same logic to why I've talked about the quarterback position the way I have. Oh, you got to build for the future. I don't really care about the future. It's always been win now, but in this era, it's absolutely win now above all else. And whatever happens after the season happens after the season. But to me, what the most important thing is winning right now. You have this golden opportunity to make history and to make the playoff, and with the right draw, who knows? You can't allowing anything to disrupt that would be just really stupid is what it would be. So leave, stay, whatever. I don't really, I'm not like, that's not my quote unquote concern at the moment. What I'm looking at is, can they just do enough to not let this impact the team and the fans the way it did in 22 until decision day comes one way or the other? I don't necessarily think you have to go get a new contract right now. I think what you can't do is troll your own fan base online. Do all the stuff that I mentioned before. That's what I'm concerned about. Just don't do that garbage and make yourself a sideshow. The opportunity in front of you is too good to allow that to be the thing. Hasn't Lane already learned that Keith will pay him at market rate regardless? Dragging it out if he wants to stay doesn't make sense. It does it for agents Jimmy Sexton. And again, I mean, look, if they beat Oklahoma Saturday, more, right? You can ask for more. The disadvantage they have in Mississippi is that they cannot sign a coach to an 810-year contract. The state will not allow it. Yeah, but here's the thing. They circumvent that. Kiffin's current contract was a 6-year deal. The state only prevents them from going longer than 4 years with the state contract. They can add the automatic rollovers and manipulate buyout money and stuff through the foundation. That's a talking point from Florida people that don't really understand what is going on here, to be honest with you. No, they do not have to go through the Congress of Mississippi to get a salary approved. They do not. They do not. Florida has been a disaster since Urban left. Look at the Dan Mullen tenure. Yeah, it has. Jimmy Sexton always wins. I mean, it's like billable hours, right? Lawyers only always win. So do billable hours. Kelly will find a way to suck it out one more year, I think. His buyout is also freaking huge. But man, this was supposed to be a playoff season. You remember the conversation around them all off season? How awesome their quarterback is. Look at the money they spent. Blah blah blah. I mean, this was an all-in year for LSU, and they've kind of tanked it too. Let's say LSU comes open and A, they don't have a deal done, or B, they already have it done. What do you think? I think if LSU comes open and they target him, that would, like I said before, that'd be a different conversation. Hopefully he will at least tell the players something different than he's telling the press. I have a feeling that that's not what was happening there. Yeah, and this is the part that not enough people are going to talk about either, the family component that you mentioned here. I mean, there's a lot of that that people don't quite understand. Y'all slow. Very well said, Matt, the Florida fan. Y'all slow. Almost needs LSU to win. Yeah, that would help. That would help. Knew Brian Kelly would fail there. Man, back when the radio show was 3 instead of 2, I was on the hill of 1 with Brian Kelly's the most overrated coach in college football. This hire does not make sense. He will not win at the highest level. His teams are going to be good, not great. They're going to win 9, 10 games a year, and that's all they're going to be because that's all he was at Notre Dame. And there's just something about it that's not going to work. And there's no excuse to be what he has been at LSU. No excuse. I think James Franklin's an NFL caliber coach. Oh, that's an interesting angle. I don't know if the NFL is going to be keen on college coaches after the last couple have flamed out completely. Let's say all the other jobs that will come open do. What are the top 5? Great question. Great question. Okay, top 5 jobs if all of them come open. LSU number 1. LSU would be the best job easily. I mean, not even close. Number 2. Penn State 2. Would Penn State be the second best job open? I could get really cute, and you guys would roll your eyes if I told you North Carolina 3, wouldn't I? No, I'm kidding. But, yeah, I think LSU drop. I think Penn State might be that's such a great job, guys. Penn State is an awesome job. In a state basically on their own, super talent rich, the money, the fan support, the recruiting chops, all. I mean, it's a great job. Like, besides weather, I guess, what's like the downside? What's the negative of the Penn State job right now? What's the worst thing about it? I know you asked for a top 5. That's my 2, though. I mean, Auburn, Florida, I think I think Auburn and Florida might be a tier below Penn State. Not by much, but and I might be too high on Penn State. I think Penn State's a heck of a job. So Kiffin should give Mullen a job and ask if he regrets leaving a school that loved him for a school that views them as just another coach. Dan Mullen, I think, said on a podcast that he regrets the change, but absolutely he regrets going to Florida. Well, absolutely he does. Can't remember a year where this many coaches got fired on so many brand name programs, and it's just going to keep happening. It's just going to keep happening. Yeah, we're good on content for the radio show this week, man. We are good. Yeah. Yeah, Keith Carter did say they were working on something, being proactive. There's an element too to being proactive that you want to block out other jobs, but you also, if you can, want to get one now because either A, if they went out, or if other jobs come open, you can kind of save money too. That like there's a two-sided thing to getting out ahead of it. It's not just about blocking out Florida or whatever. It's also possibly saving money. I don't know if Levy, I think they can quote unquote recover, but the opportunities for wins are getting shorter and shorter. Or fewer and fewer, I should say. How about Kentucky and Stoops? Holy cow, that was bad. Here's a stat for you. I saved this yesterday. Let's see. Kentucky outgained Texas 395 yards to 176 yards and had 18 more first downs. Kentucky had 26 first downs to Texas's 8, and they lost the game. 395 yards to 176 and 18 more first downs. And they lost. Who do you think Auburn gets? Who does Auburn get? Alex Galesh. Texas was dead to rights in Lexington. That offense is absolutely horrendous. Horrendous. School could get Franklin on a pretty good discount. Yeah. It's like a Virginia Tech to me makes sense for him for some reason. Or a North Carolina if they move on. Yeah, you said it right there. Again, Robert, the Florida fan, no, the contract thing that you're talking about is you're just kind of misinformed there. Any luck on getting the radio show back on Spotify? Yeah, once they stop using AI and let us talk to a real person, we'll get the show back on Spotify. But until then, we're SOL there. What did Kiffin say about the job opening? Michael Katz on Twitter has the screenshots. So at Michael LKATZ has them. He's got the quotes from tonight. Read somewhere it's like an $88 million deal. Could be wrong. It's insane money. Matt Rule already looking ahead to Penn State, huh? Yeah. Jeez. What a bad loss at a bad time for him. Crazy to think about State and Ole Miss both having vacant head coaching jobs open at the same time. I don't think there's anything that can happen with Levy that he gets fired. Shocked that Dan Wolken, of all people, said that Kiffin would be smart to stay. I know. He's turned a new leaf, apparently. Now, on portal means it doesn't matter where a kid is from. Yeah, it really kind of doesn't. Things have changed some. Does it seem to you that most media markets want him to leave instead of actually thinking he will? It's almost like a lot of the major college football media does not like seeing Ole Miss in a winning state. It's not just Ole Miss. They grew up in a time where there were certain programs that were on a tier above the others, and it's not just that they think that that's what it is. That they refuse to accept or appreciate the programs on the not top tier from their childhood ascend into that or are trying. It's almost like they're not allowed to be good. You know what I mean? Oh, just go get Signetti. Just go get him. No, Indiana said forget that. No, you're not going to just go get him. It's a new age now. It's a lot of that too. I don't think it's an anti-Ole Miss thing. It's an anti-lesser program thing because they grew up in a time and you form what you think is what a quality program is. And if you were a blue blood when I was 16, then by God, you're a blue blood right now. And I just disagree with that. Better talent in Florida. Lane flipped Austin Simmons from Florida anyways and doesn't care about in-state high school recruits. They've, although the performance Saturday was not up to par, defensively, they've done a good job in the state of Mississippi, in particular since they hired Pete. But Saturday was not good. So Florida's last 4 hires have been Muschamp, McElwain from a G5, Mississippi State in a different era, and another G5 coach. Yeah. Sunshine and rainbow scenarios. They beat Oklahoma. He signs the deal shortly after. Then it's a raucous environment for Carolina to start a 3-game homestand. Yeah. Florida's just missing a good coach to be a winning program. Plenty of talent on the roster, but no good coaching. Yeah, they just, Robert, the Florida fan, the job is so good. Florida's such a good job. And man, it's so easy to win at Florida. It is so easy. So easy. I mean, my gosh, everybody wins at Florida except for the last 4 coaches that they have hired. But man, it's so easy to win at Florida. It just wins on its own. Man, all you need to do is get the coach right. You're 0 for your last 4, but yeah. Yeah, it's so easy to win there, though. Feels like you're all trying to make yourselves feel better about the inevitable. Lane has matured and transformed the program. Should be thankful for what he's done and accept that decision. No, Jason, that's not how it works at all. If your coach leaves within the conference, you should not accept that decision and you should hate him forever. Maybe don't throw bottles at him like Tennessee did. But if your coach leaves for an in-conference team, you shouldn't just be like, oh, well, thanks. Cheers. No. I disagree with you there. People are still trying to say Ole Miss has hit their ceiling under Kiffin because that just makes all the sense in the world. Yeah, they definitely hit their season a year ago when they had a championship caliber roster, and coaching is what cost them a shot at the playoffs. Does Ole Miss take a shot at Drinkwitz if Kiffin leaves? Ooh. I know that he was on the short list when Kiffin was hired, but you think the jobs are 1 LSU, 2 Penn State, 3 Florida, 4 Florida State, and 5 Auburn? It's a fine list. How about Clemson? Dabo's 3 and 4. Dabo very well could find his way out. And they can't fire him this year, I don't believe. I don't think they would. But he could look to reset his clock. I think Saturday's going to lead the state missing the postseason, maybe 4-8, 0-8 in the league. Yeah. Dan Mullen, I think, would be a perfect fit at Wisconsin. I think you're onto something I think he would fit perfectly there. Keith Carter giving a comment on contract negotiations and publicizing they're working on it tells me he either A, believes the contract is imminent and Kiffin will sign, or he's trying to put pressure to wrap it up. Yeah. Happy you got the freeze prediction right. That was the easiest. No offense. Don't take this the wrong way. It was just so easy to spot what was coming there. This was coming. Always was. Thought he'd be out after losing to Vandy. That wasn't in Nashville. That was in Auburn. Hey, how about Vandy getting College Game Day now, too? Think they're going to take down Missouri and keep their playoff hopes alive? What a great story. What a great story. How about Kenny Dillingham? Problem with him is he's at his alma mater, though, and is doing well. I did think Freeze would make it to year 4 before he got fired, though. But I don't think Dillingham would leave Arizona State. Who's the one coach we haven't mentioned who could be out or leave? One coach we have not mentioned that could be out or leave. One coach that could be out. Let me think on that. You talking about fired or just leaving? Because I think we've kind of talked about everybody that. Michigan, Sharon Moore, that's a good one. If it falls apart there, yeah, that's a good one. Lincoln Riley? I mean, I know they were ranked going into the week. But he's been kind of stinky. And, I mean, they lost the other night. They still got to go to Nebraska. They still have to face Oregon. I mean, but it's Northwestern, Iowa, and UCLA, the rest. But that's one. Oklahoma could come open if things get really bad for them. But they got a nice win this weekend, though. That settles that down a little bit. But you've got a lot of monkey see, monkey do in college football, right? And just like when, hey, that school decided to keep their coach, others are more inclined to do so. Same thing here. You're going to see some panic reactions to this. But anyway, we've gone over an hour, so I'm going to go ahead and hang it up. Really appreciate you guys. We'll be back on Tuesday for more of this, I'm sure, because nothing's changing, and we'll just have to keep talking about it. But we'll also talk about the Oklahoma game because that is a huge one, regardless of this stuff. So I'll see you guys on Tuesday. You'll have a good rest of your night.